What's up, guys? Here at again, back with another video. And I had an idea to do a quick impromptu video for you guys because I have a load that I do not haul on a regular basis, but it is relatively, I want to say complicated, but it's really not complicated, but it's something that definitely needs to be done very, very meticulously. It's a load that a lot of drivers have a problem with, a very severe problem. And I'm going to show you guys what I do for this particular type of load, how you can have a little bit less stress when you're dealing with it out on the road. Let's see what it is. What we have today is wire mesh, but it's not this kind of wire mesh. That kind of wire mesh actually is not that bad. These are the thick pieces. Plenty of room in between to throw your straps and not have your straps get all punctured. This is the kind right here that I absolutely hate. You guys have probably heard me talk about it in a video or two in the past. This kind that cuts your straps and pokes holes in it with all these prongs that it has. I absolutely hate hauling that stuff right there. But what I have today is a little bit easier to deal with. It's wire mesh, but it's in the roll form. Now, these wire mesh rolls, and really all wire mesh, at least coming from a few different shippers, it needs to be secured a very specific way. And like I said, a lot of drivers have problems with it because a lot of drivers don't secure the stuff properly. Either they don't know, or they don't ask if they're not entirely sure, and they end up not securing each piece the way that it needs to be secured to keep it from moving around. A lot of guys have load shift problems. Now imagine any of these pieces. These things are huge. I don't know how much they weigh individually. Actually, let me look at the tag. This one right here is 32 pounds, or 3,200 pounds, I should say. So I'd imagine each one of these probably weighs that same amount or close to it. Imagine something like that falling off of a trailer bed, going off into the roadway, or coming dislodged and one of the other pieces is also not secured correctly, starts moving. Your whole set of freight basically starts playing Jenga, just moving around and reshifting itself. That's a very, 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 very bad day. So I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to do with this load. I haven't hauled this form of wire mesh in quite a long time, but I'm glad that I don't have the smaller version of this. And I think the sun glare is probably it's killing me, but hopefully it's not going to kill you guys on the playback of this. But I had the smaller version of this stuff. I don't think that they have it here. All I'm seeing are the big versions, but I had the little itty bitty ones before, smaller even than those over there. I had 32 individual rolls on my trailer when I came and picked up from one of these places at a time, like it was years ago. And I had to use every single strap that I had, every 16-inch, or I'm sorry, every 4-inch strap, every single one, every 2-inch strap. And I had to use all my chains. And at the end of it, I still wish that I had more to secure it down better, but it took me so long. I think that took me like 3 hours to deal with because the place that I was picking up from did not have ladders for me to climb up on. That one does, so I had to climb up on the deck of the trailer trying to hang on to the side and walk a tightrope along the side of the trailer right here to feed things through. Now imagine doing that and trying to angle arc, hook shot, throw your chains through an eye like that. It was not a fun day. I don't even remember how much that load paid. It was a while ago. Let me not traumatize myself thinking about that again. But yeah, with this one, this will be a bit easier. I already started it off with the forward movement protection. And that's just a chain pulling backwards. Now, I have seen drivers in the past picking up from this place and other places that have this wire mesh rolls like this, and they've done X straps across the fronts. That is not insufficient, or that is not sufficient. I almost said that's not insufficient. That stuff is incorrect to do it that way because X straps and fabric is not going to be strong enough to hold this stuff back. With it being metal already, and then the force pushing against the fabric of something that heavy is going to cut right through that stuff. Definitely use a chain. Sometimes if you pick up wire mesh like this, you'll do 2 chains, like one pulling backwards and one pulling forwards. This particular load does not require that. It's just a single strap coming backwards, and I'm going to put, or I'm sorry, a single chain coming backwards, and I'm going to put a chain through the eye. Oh my gosh, I'm all mixed up today. Blah, 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 blah. Throw it all back. One chain pulling backwards, and then one strap pulling straight down. And I want to do that same thing going all the way down the trailer. I know I'm not going to have enough chains, plus I don't think that my chains would be long enough to reach these top eyes here, so I'm going to do a strap, 1 or 2 straps going straight through the eye and down. But definitely I have enough chains to go through every eye on the bottom and put a chain and a strap through that, and that should keep me right. Now, something also that I did with this, because the shipper added this dunnage here to keep the freight from moving backwards on me, I put strap here to hold that dunnage down, because the weight of the load is not going to be sufficient to keep this dunnage from potentially walking itself from underneath this coil or this roll while I'm driving down the highway and things are vibrating and moving around. So I just used a 2-inch strap with a 2-inch ratchet on the other side to pin this down in place to give it assistance along with the gravity and the weight. So there are 3 pieces of dunnage that they added, and I wasn't able to 100% line it up. I mean, I could line it up through one spot here and directly over top of the dunnage. The other side didn't completely blend in as well as I would have wanted it to, so I just had to make adjustments. So right here, because of the roll being in the way, I couldn't really get my 2-inch ratchet under there, and I didn't want to use a 4-inch strap on this, because each one of these, you know, this one would have been over a wheel, and some of them would have been like this smaller stake pocket, which, I mean, you could make it work. You could squeeze a 4-inch strap and make it fit through there, but still, I didn't want to have too much of this strap like directly over a wheel here. So I just put the strap over top of the dunnage on that side and then pinned it, as you can see here, pinned it pressing forward into the roll to, in addition to keeping the dunnage down, it's pressing it forward so I don't have to worry about it walking backwards. That's just what I did to compensate for it. And then of course taking all the slack of the 2-inch strap and just pulling it back with the bungee. So that part is all secure. And like I said, I'm going to go ahead and throw a strap and a chain where I can. I'm almost 100% certain that I'm not going to be able to get a chain up through that roll and then back down where I would feel comfortable riding with it down the highway. So we'll be good. I already checked with safety, so strap straight through that would be sufficient. That would be okay. I could do a single strap or I could do 2, you know, whichever one makes me feel better. So I'll throw one through there and see how it looks, and I'll show you another trick as well, because these still have these prongs that I was telling you about here. So, I mean, all these individual little prongs, those will tear your straps up. I'm going to do what I can to try to avoid it, but a lot of times, you know, even if you can avoid it right at the rim of the roll or the coil, you still got all the rest of it wherever your strap's going to be pulling down and pressing against it. You know, you can't really do anything about it. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it to start off. I'm gonna go ahead and start throwing things, guys, and let you guys watch and see how the process goes. This area is not too busy, so we may have minimal interference with forklifts or whatever driving through here. You know, one thing that really helps to expedite the process when you're securing freight is to make sure that your headache rack is in good, orderly condition. Like I keep mine ready for war at all times. You know, all my chains and binders are hung up nicely with the bungees and everything. Makes it very easy. See my coil racks right up top, easy to find. Really anything. I don't have to go through the shuffle of trying to figure out where stuff is, wasting my time doing that. You know, if you're interested in getting your headache rack together, I made a video on that. I'll put a link to the video here, a card, you guys can check it out. Definitely very valuable information. Will save you a lot of time over the course of your work day, your work week, and your career as a flatbedder, as long as you're doing something like this. Yeah, I've got just a few other things I got to place. I think I need a couple more chain binders. I got the majority of my chains out already. But definitely, guys, expedite the process. Make things easier on yourself in the long term with an organized headache rack. Okay, we've got all the chains placed now. We need to go ahead and tether everything down tightly. And I made a bit of a modification with this. I was saying I was gonna have all the chains pulling straight down, but space is not really going to allow for that. just because of the length of a chain here, or I'm sorry, the length of the chain binders. If I were to pull straight down, I mean, even if I shorten it down some, the hook's going to be sticking into the eye of the roll here, and that's just not optimal. You want to just have the hook reaching from the chain tie down to the chain and not actually inside the load, just for the ability to hold it down and be tight on the securement and not necessarily pressing down on the load, because that's just going to create slack later on as I drive down the road. So we're going to go ahead and tighten this, and I'll show you a couple other things that you want to watch out for. All right, giving you guys a closer view of what I was talking about, just because in the last angle I think it might have been a little bit further away. Don't want you guys to have to squint your eyes, but for the chain binder here, if I were to try to pull straight down, there's a couple of problems. The chain tie down, which is one of these pieces here that comes out of the deck of the trailer, that would kind of be covered up. There's one directly underneath the load that is completely covered by the load, and this one leaves way too much space. See how much of the hook covers, how much of it is still showing if I were to just go straight in a straight line, as straight line as possible, to try to use that. So I want to try to extend it to kill some of that slack and make the securement better. So I'm just going to do chain tie down to binder, and if you have the ability, you always want to try to use the chain tie down section if you can. So the chain tie down, this comes out of the deck. Sometimes you may have to go through the deck of the trailer and hook into a state pocket or something. Let me show you guys something like this. You may have to do something like that depending on what load you have. But if you have the option and the ability and the availability of space, the chain tie down is the best area to hook your chain binders to, and your chains as well. And if you ever do need to hook to the deck, don't do anything like this. That's a violation because it's outside of the deck. As far as I know, doing it like that is a-okay, or I guess doing it underneath on the underside as well, as far as I know. But definitely never hook anything on the outside of the rail. Okay, so just something to remember. And I usually just rehook the excess chain to itself as high up on the load as I can there on the chain, and then I'll show you guys what I do to tether and get rid of this slack here. I've showed you guys in other videos, but just assuming this is the very first of my videos you've ever watched, I'll show you what I do again. But let's go ahead and tie this down here, and we're going to do the same thing all the way down the deck of the trailer on both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and knock that out, and I'll get back with you. One other caveat before I move on. Whenever you are hooking your binder to the chain, you want to make sure that you hook onto the smooth side. So if you look real close at these chain links, there's a smooth side, and then there is a side with a little bit of a bump to it, and that's the weld right there. That's where the chain has been, each individual chain link has been welded together. Comparatively speaking, the welded side here is weaker. So you want to go ahead and hook your binder to the smooth side. It's more stable. Grand scheme of things, you should be all right on either side, but if you're trying to be very meticulous and want to make sure that you have no holes in your game at all, hook the smooth side, okay? Don't hook the welded side here, the little bump notch. Hook the smooth side. Okay, now we have all of the chains placed and tightened down. Next thing we're going to do is throw these straps through the eye, and you're making sure that you alternate your straps just the same way that you alternated your binders. So I have my binder pulling on this side, so I want to have my strap pulling on the other side to give it an even amount of pressure to keep it where it needs to be. So since I have these chains pulling backwards on half of the load and forward on the other half, I'm going to have the straps pulling straight down. That'll be easier for me to do. I don't have to worry about the space issue that I was running into with the binders. Now, if you've ever hauled slinkies and some of these, some smaller coils, the way that I have these chains all placed will look familiar, like pulling the front half towards the rear, pulling the rear half towards the front as far as the chains go. That way the load will come, all the pressure for the load will all pull it together towards the center and keep everything balanced. Now I may be able to go straight down with the straps. The top ones, I'm not exactly sure if I'm gonna need to angle those in a little bit just for space. We'll see. I'd like to just go straight down with them. But I was saying before I was gonna need to use a ladder. The ladder, as you can see, this on the other side of the load over there. Now, the way this ground is set up with all this gravel over here, I don't really feel like pushing that. And I think that my aim is official enough that I can stand on the ground, which is the safest place for your feet to be when you're doing anything like this. I can stand on the ground and aim my strap well enough to get through the eye of these top coils and just have the strap unroll itself as it goes through. Now, let me show you guys a trick real quick here, and I'll do it on one of these smaller coils, one of the ones that's on the ground. So that one's gonna come over this way. And actually, you know what, let me show you. Let me see if I can do it on this tall one here. I'll show you guys the science. I've done it before. I've done it in a short, showed it to a lot of people, helped a lot of people out with throwing straps across tall loads. Let's see if I can do it today or if it's gonna backfire on me. But the way that I throw straps over tall loads without having to mess my shoulder joint up or exert too much strength or force that I would rather save for something else, you go ahead and take your strap, drop some slack from it, unravel it a little bit, so you have about this much slack. And I go ahead and make a rabbit ear, take the extra slack, roll it down, and hold on to the extra part of the slack that I dropped originally. And then you want to make sure that you grab the buckle, hold the buckle at its base, hold it as tightly as you can. Do not let it go, because when you throw the strap, the buckle, the momentum from your throw is going to whip the buckle up, or it's going to want to if you're not holding on to it. You hit yourself in the face, hit yourself in the mouth, break your teeth, break your nose, have a very, very, very bad day that you do not want to have, okay? So hold on to this tightly the entire time until you have released the strap and it is stopped, okay? While the strap is in motion, basically, in the air. Hold on to this the entire time. Don't let it go, because you might hurt yourself. But I'm gonna go ahead and try to aim it through the eye of that coil straight ahead here. And we'll see if I can make it. And move you guys over just a little bit. We'll see if I can make it do what it do and get through there and make it look great. But holding on to the buckle, and I want to aim it. You don't want to throw it up too high for this specific load, because I need accuracy to get through the eye. I want to throw it up just enough to get through the eye or get into the eye, and then have the momentum unravel the strap the rest of the way to get to the other side of the trailer. So let's see. Oh, it hit the top. It hit the top. That was a fail. Let's see if we can try it again. See if I can do it in real time for you guys. Because I just did it with the strap a couple of coils over, but let's see. If I hadn't hit the top of that coil, the inside, then it would have gone through. So, and now I got the buckle hooked to the trailer, so I don't have to worry about it now. But let's see. There it is. Did you guys see that? It went through. Just to show you that I'm not lying. There's the other side of the strap right there. Went through perfectly. So hopefully that little trick helped you guys out. If not, I mean, I know this can be a little bit easier for somebody that's a little bit taller, but if not, you know, use a ladder. Do anything that you can to avoid having to walk on the side of the trailer, because that just gives you a risk of falling. I mean, look at all these things you can trip over. I mean, there's the load itself keeping you having to walk a tightrope along the side of this. There's this chain, that's a trip hazard. There's your straps that are up here, a trip hazard. You know, anything that's up here, you can trip and fall. And nobody wants to fall on the ground and hurt yourself. Workers' comp claim, get injured. I mean, I've been doing this job for a little while here, and I've heard more stories than I would like about drivers falling off of their loads and getting hurt, either because their foot got caught in something or they weren't paying attention to where their tarp was and the load was and the empty spaces and all that. So you're safe for keeping your feet on the ground as much as you can. Reduce your risk of falling off of a trailer to 100% if you're not sitting on top of the trailer in the first place. But I'm gonna go ahead and launch the rest of these straps and get back with you guys with the final steps to get done with this stuff. Now, we have all of the straps placed. Now, the other problem that I was telling you guys about is these prongs. As you can see, each one of those little tines that's sticking out, that's going to puncture these straps. There's not a whole lot you can do about it in most cases. Like for these tall ones right there, I'm not going to be able to do anything about that because I'm not going to climb up on top of the deck. That ladder, well, I guess I could begrudgingly use that ladder. If I do, let me see, how many would I need? There's 1, 2, 3, 4 of these coils on top. So I would need 8 pieces of protection to go in there, 1 for each side of the 4. And one of the things that you can use if you have it, it is these felt pads. Now you can find these, like this isn't something that, well, let me say this as if like you're not working for the same company that I am. You might be able to find these at places that you deliver steel to. All the ones that I have, you know, people just left them on the ground. A lot of times they use these to protect metal from chains. These just felt pads, I'm sure there's somewhere where you can buy them too, but I'm a fan of gently used, trashed items when it comes to work. You know, if somebody doesn't need it, they got too many, they're giving them away, or I find them on the ground, I will use it if I find a use for it. So what you can do, you can take some of these and you can just put them underneath your, underneath your strap here. So let me go ahead and place one, show you guys what I'm talking about, because for wire mesh like that, you can use your plastic edge protectors, but on a round hole, you know, a rectangular piece is not going to work, of course. So you can take these, put them like that underneath your strap on either side. That way your strap is protected from those prongs. Because I don't know when the next time will be I will go to a terminal and be able to replace a strap that's got holes in it, because a hole eventually turns into a tear, and the tear can eventually reach from end to end, or if a tear gets all the way over to one side, you know, that strap is useless. I would not trust a torn strap to secure any load. I wouldn't put my life on it or anybody else's. So if you find some of these, just grab them if you find them on the ground. If they're trash, if they're free or whatever, or if you go to a metal place that's giving them away for free, go ahead and grab yourself a handful. That way you'll always be able to get yourself together in a situation like this. But I suppose you could also use a metal edge protector under this. A metal edge protector isn't going to be as form-fitting, but it will still protect your strap. So I may end up doing that to protect my straps, maybe, because some of these I'll be able to space the strap just right. Like say this one right here, I can place this strap between those tines and tighten it down. Hopefully I can do it on the other side as well. And I can tighten this down without putting one of those felt pads under it. But for the ones where I can't do that, I'm gonna have to use a pad. So we'll see what I can do. I'm gonna go ahead and fiddle around with this a little bit. I'm not gonna bore you guys with me testing each one of these, but I'll be back in a bit. Okay, while I'm at it, another tip that I just thought of that you guys can do. Say you don't have the felt pads that I was talking about. Say you have some kind of issue where you can't use steel edge protectors either. You can actually just use the strap, you know, it'll work very similarly to how the felt pad would work. Let me show you guys what I do. When you are rolling up your strap, you know, before you would go ahead and winch it down, what I do, you can just take at ground level, you can take that same strap after you rolled it up, instead of just winching it and rolling it up to protect the rub rail, make your strap, make the excess long enough so that it will reach from the rub rail and actually be able to go up here into the eye of the coil. You can do that on the ground level ones, at least. The upper ones, you're not going to be able to do that, but here you can do that and it'll act the same way. It'll serve the same purpose. So now I can protect the rub rail and protect the strap on the ground level, at least. The top ones, you'll have to do some of that other stuff that I was telling you about. You know, get some felt pads, use a steel edge protector, or, you know, some kind of cloth or something if you can get it, reach it up in there. But use what you got. All right, just about done. It's a little bit warm out here still. And I like giving you guys helpful tools in addition to, you know, out on the road trucker tips. One of the things that I've been using that's been helping keep me cool out here has been one of these portable belt clip fans. Now, like I said, like the name implies, you just hook it onto the clip of your belt like that, and goes underneath your shirt, and you just go ahead and overlap the two like that. This thing is great. Imagine having like a fan blowing. See if you guys can hear that. My beard hair is not long enough. I'll show you guys how powerful it is, but it's got like 5 different settings on it. And this thing has really been making a difference because as flatbedders, you all know, I'm sure, all too well how bad warm weather can be, whether it's the spring or the summer. You know, when the sun's beating down on you, you got no choice but to be outside. You know, you need something to help cool you off because, yeah, we can go back into the trucks and cool off, but eventually you're going to have to come back outside and deal with the heat again. Or just being uncomfortable like that and having a fan like that, it really makes a difference for me, guys. I've been using this for a while. I haven't really talked about it much. I don't know if you guys can hear the wind blowing right now, but it's got like 5 different settings, as I said, in addition to having like a little light right here. I don't get a whole lot of use out of the light, but the 5 different settings of the van, you can see that little fan blowing in there. It feels great. Most of the time I'm pretty comfortable at a 2 or a 3. I haven't really had to go up to a 5 yet. Not for actual need, but just testing it out, and it's really good. It actually does make a difference. You know, I highly recommend it, guys. I'll put a link to it in the video card or something around here where you guys can find it. You can find it in my Amazon store as well if you look over there. But yeah, I definitely recommend a fan, guys. If you guys ever get uncomfortable working in warmer weather, I mean, and who doesn't when you have to be getting beaten down by the sun, for real. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and knock this last bit out here before I show you guys the finished product. Heck yeah. And this tool is awesome as well. You guys already know about it. I talk about it all the time because it's one of my favorite tools that I use because I use it every single day. If I'm securing straps, I'm using my rationing winch bar. It's awesome. You guys have seen me use it, like I said, a ton of times. I'll put that in a link or a card as well for you guys if you're interested in getting something like this for yourself. It'll definitely save you a lot of time and help you not torque your shoulder or your rotator cuff if you have issues with that. This kind of alleviates it. You know, the gears in here make it a lot easier, and it's a lot less insertion and removal of your winch bar. A lot less steps to get your work done. But we're done here, guys. Let's show you the finished product of everything. All right, here we are with the finished product. And I believe I said in the beginning of this video it was going to be a quick video. I think I turned it into a regular length one, but it's definitely packed full of information to help you guys have a more smooth time securing something like this if you're new to it. And kind of just walking through what I did. In a nutshell, we got the straps here, and I ended up being able to secure these in between the prongs for all of the bottom ones. And so I didn't have to use the felt pads that I was talking about. And this is just the straps pulling down on all of the coils here. Have the rear one pulling forward for the reason that I implied earlier, pinching everything close together, and have the front ones pulling rearward. Make sure that you alternate the binders and the straps as much as you can. May not be 100% perfect, but try to alternate most of the way if you can. Almost. That's tight enough. Oh, sorry, thoughts escaped me a little bit. But yeah, but what I did do, I did use the felt pads on the top ones because it served a dual purpose. For one, up there, the issue with the prongs, I mean, I ended up climbing up there with a ladder, but the difference between the top ones and the top ones only have one piece of securement holding them in place. So I didn't want to take any chances on the straps getting any tears or puncture holes in them or anything and weakening that securement that's holding each one of these down at the top. The bottom ones have 2. The bottom ones have the strong chains, and then they have a strap. So if the strap on this failed, the chain's going to hold it for sure because these chains are anchored. So I made sure to crawl up on each of the 4, and thankfully for me, I had exactly 8 of those felt pads. So I was able to put 1 on each side of the top coils there. But everything on the bottom's got 2 pieces of securement running through it, and we're good to go. I mean, you can see the placement of that. Looking real good, centered on both sides, and I don't have to worry. I cranked the straps down on that really tightly. So we're good. And then the excess chain, I was saying I was going to tell you guys about what I would do with that stuff later. And it was taking the excess of the chain, I'd take a bungee and just go ahead and hook it to the deck. So it's not just blowing in the wind, because the hook is right here. If too much momentum came or anything happened, if that hook came undone, it's just going to be free swinging in the wind. That's a problem. So got that out of the way. That won't be an issue. And of course, before you take off, once your securement is done, just do a 360 around the truck. Make sure that all of your binders are tight, all of your straps are tight, and you won't have any problems. And with stuff like this, any kind of wire mesh, you want to make sure that you are not skipping those load checks. Make sure you stop, check, tighten if you need to. This right here, this might need to be tightened right now. I think this might be caught on one of these prongs, because that should be straight over angled. You see that dip? I don't like that. Yep, just like that. That's exactly why you need to do a once over on the truck, guys. I should not have been able to move that with my hands. So I'm gonna have to go to the other side and tighten that down once I free that a little bit, once I use both my hands. I'll get that straightened up, because it's caught on that prong right there. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So I'm gonna fix that, and then we'll go. And then here, well, no, I think that's pretty much everything. But yeah, it's all done here. Don't skip on the load checks, like I said. And when you're dealing with anything like this, it's always better to put on more than enough securement if you're in doubt. Of course, you want to go ahead and call whoever it is that knows more about it, or should know more about it than you do. And, call your safety department or whoever it is that can tell you how to secure something properly. This specific stuff, there's a note in my load notes that's saying I have to call safety anyway, regardless of how much, experience you got. They just want you to call safety and have them run through it with you, because there's probably been a bunch of guys that made mistakes with it in the past and had problems, so they want to cut that off at the pass. That would be my assumption. So don't be too prideful, because you may learn something that you didn't know previously, a new way of securing something, which I'm a lifelong learner, so I will do that no problem. But I think that is about it, guys. I'll give you all a quick 360 of the securements, and I'm gonna get out of here. Well, that's the end of it, guys. Hopefully you all learned a little bit of something watching this video. Hopefully I taught you a little bit of something you had not seen before and made your work day a little bit easier than it previously was. And make sure, if you have any questions about any kind of securement that you are doing, you ask, and don't get yourself in a bind. It's not worth it. You're out here to make money, not lose it. But until the next video, guys, I appreciate you all watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Here, right out.